Hey guys, my name is Kira, and I wanted to tell you a little bit about Thomas Jefferson. Thomas Jefferson is a well-known political figure, but he valued ideals above political aspirations. He is one of my favorite historical figures, and he had a lot to do with education. He was born April 2nd, 1743, OS. The OS stands for Old Style. According to our current calendar, his birthday would be April 13th. He was born on his family's plantation in Shadwell, Virginia. His parents are Peter and Jane Randolph Jefferson. He had two older sisters, two younger sisters, and one younger brother. When Jefferson was young, there wasn't really any public education, so instead the wealthy families would send their boys off to private schools, and their daughters would be educated at home, usually by governesses or tutors. Jefferson's childhood studies included classical languages, namely Greek and Latin, as well as literature and mathematics. At 17, he attended the College of William and Mary. While there, he found a couple of friends and mentors that he looked up to. They included Dr. William Small, who taught him how to love learning, and George Wythe, who was a lawyer. He studied under George Wythe for about 5 years, and then took the bar and practiced law from 1767 to 1774. Towards the end of his practice, Jefferson wrote a summary view of the rights of British America, which helped pave the way for Jefferson to be chosen to write the Declaration of Independence. Jefferson was an outspoken advocate for American independence from Great Britain. Jefferson wrote a lot of correspondence and bills that we admire him for, including the Virginia Statute for Religious Freedom, and 3 separate bills that are geared towards public education. He had strong opinions about the place for religious freedom, including its place in public schools. This seems to be a major factor in his drive to create a University of Virginia, which was the first secular university. He wrote bills intended to create education for the masses. One was to restructure the College of William and Mary. Another was to create a government-funded public library, and the last one was to create a public education system. It was called the Bill for the More General Diffusion of Knowledge, and it shows the value that Jefferson placed on education. It has become one of the most enduring works on the subject of education. It strongly encouraged the government to create a free primary-level education system. Jefferson thought that the best check on government power is an educated and informed populace, as well as an informed and educated leader. The bill says that leaders should be, by liberal education, worthy to receive and able to guard the sacred deposit of the rights and liberties of their fellow citizens. Jefferson's ideal school setup included a tuition-free education for 3 years for any free child, male or female, and then a tuition-funded secondary education for boys at a district grammar school, followed by entry into an institution for higher learning. He planned on making scholarships available for the brightest students so that education could continue even if tuition was not readily available. Jefferson was a key player in politics. He was the first diplomat abroad, the first Secretary of State, the second Vice President, and the third U.S. President. In 1809, Jefferson retired from the public life, where he devoted his time to his belief in public school. He worked tirelessly to create the University of Virginia to allow the study of different elective subjects. He wanted the campus to feel more like an academic village than a schoolhouse. He became the first rector, oversaw the campaigns to create government funding, and he planned its curriculum. On July 4th, 1826, 1 year after opening the university, Thomas Jefferson died. It was the 50th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence and the same day as his friend and political associate John Adams. Jefferson is buried in his family cemetery in Monticello. His gravestone isn't extravagant or flashy. Jefferson wrote his own inscription on his headstone, and it is interesting to see what he included as his greatest accomplishment. It emphasizes his ideals and his beliefs and yet leaves out his most aspiring political accomplishments. It says, "Here was buried Thomas Jefferson, author of the Declaration of American Independence, of the Virginia Statute for Religious Freedom, and father of the University of Virginia." Jefferson's philosophies toward education are still affecting us today. His views on education are evidenced in many of his writings and were perhaps the most focused of his thoughts. It could be argued that his greatest accomplishments didn't come while he was president, but in his continual efforts to bring education to the masses. There are many points where I agree with Jefferson. I think that education is more than getting a degree or a title, and that learning is its own reward. I also agree that freedom and education go hand in hand. I think part of what made him such a great influence on history was his belief that for us to be truly free, we must also be educated.